Hey everyone, 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. Let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and at 1,000 subscribers, we'll drop special stories just for you.
The sky over Kethra Prime was wrong. Elias Varr noticed at the moment the dropship's hull opened, a nauseating swirl of violet, green, and deep, oily black, like bruised light bleeding across the atmosphere. It wasn't just the color. The sky moved, subtly, constantly, as if something unseen pressed against the fabric of reality from the other side. Cadet Varn, Instructor HFY Era said from behind him, voice clipped and emotionless, "You will disembark." Elias didn't move immediately. He stood at the edge of the ramp, staring out at the jagged alien landscape below. Razor-backed ridges stretched across the horizon, broken by glowing mineral veins that pulsed faintly beneath the surface like the veins of a living thing. "This is a mistake," Elias said quietly. "It is an evaluation. It's a death sentence." A pause. "Only if you fail." Elias let out a dry breath. Comforting. He stepped forward anyway. The wind hit him instantly, hot, metallic, carrying a faint electrical sting that prickled across his skin. Gravity felt off. Not weaker, not stronger, just inconsistent, like it couldn't decide what it wanted to be. His boots hit the ground with a dull, crunching impact. Behind him, the dropship engines flared. Elias turned sharply. "Wait, no guidance? No parameters?" Instructor HFY silhouette stood framed in the doorway. "Objective. Survive," the instructor said. "Duration. Until retrieval or termination." "That's it. That is sufficient." The hatch began to close. Elias stepped forward instinctively. "At least tell me what's out here." "Adapt," HFY interrupted. The ramp sealed. And just like that, Elias was alone. The dropship vanished into the warped sky, leaving behind a silence so complete it felt artificial. Elias stood still for several seconds, listening. Nothing. No wind now. No distant movement. Just a faint hum of the planet itself. A low, almost inaudible vibration beneath his feet. "Okay," he muttered. "Step one, don't panic." He scanned the terrain. The plateau he stood on sloped downward into a basin filled with twisted rock formations. Some of them looked almost organic, like frozen waves or petrified roots clawing toward the sky. In the distance, something glowed faintly. Bioluminescent growth, maybe, or something worse. Elias checked his gear. Standard survival kit. He opened it quickly. One dull edge blade. Not ideal. A locator beacon, cracked, its display flickering uselessly. "Of course," he sighed. Half a ration pack. Dehydrated protein composite. Barely enough for a day. A thermal wrap. No range weapons. No comms. No support. Minimal supplies, Elias said, running a hand through his hair. "Yeah, they really want to see how humans improvise." He crouched, examining the ground. Tracks. Not his. Deep impressions, spaced far apart. Whatever made them had long strides. Multiple sets overlapped, moving in coordinated patterns rather than random wandering. Pack behavior. Elias's stomach tightened. "Right," he whispered. "So they're real." He had read the file. Briefly. Most cadets avoided the Kethra Prime dossier. Too many redacted sections. Too many casualties in the margins. Indigenous apex species. Unnamed designation. Hunters. Behavior. Coordinated pack tactics. Threat level. Extreme. That was all anyone really remembered. A faint sound broke the silence. Elias froze. A low, resonant tone rolled across the plateau. Not quite a howl, not quite a call. It vibrated to the ground more than the air, settling deep in his chest like an echo. Then another answered it. Closer. Elias slowly stood, turning toward the sound. "Okay," he murmured. "So step two." Definitely panic. Just quietly. His mind raced. Running was pointless. Predators like that didn't chase unless they were certain of the outcome. And if they were already called each other, that meant they knew. Fighting? With a dull blade? Yeah, no. Hiding? Maybe. Elias scanned the terrain again, faster this time. The basin offered cover, but also traps. High ground gave visibility, but also made him an easy target. Another sound. Behind him this time. Elias turned sharply. Nothing there, but the silence had changed. It wasn't empty anymore. It was waiting. He exhaled slowly, forcing himself to think. They're not rushing, he said under his breath. That means they're not mindless, which meant they're watching. A chill ran down his spine. Elias straightened, deliberately slowing his movements. If they were observing, then every action mattered. He removed the blade from his kit, but instead of gripping it aggressively, he held it loosely at his side, non-threatening, or at least less threatening. All right, he said quietly, voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. If you're out there, I'm not your enemy. No response, but something shifted in the distance, just a flicker of movement between the rocks. Too smooth, too controlled, not imagination. They were there. Elias swallowed. Step 3, he whispered, eyes scanning the shadows. Figure out how not to become lunch. The ground vibrated again, closer now, and this time he knew they weren't just watching anymore. They were closing in. The first thing Elias realized was that the silence had a pattern. It wasn't empty, it was structured. Each faint shift of stone, each whisper of movement between the jagged formations happened with intention. No wasted motion, no careless noise. They weren't circling randomly. They were positioning. Elias stood at the center of it, every instinct screaming at him to run. But logic held him in place. If they wanted me dead, I already would be. That thought didn't calm him, but it kept him from making a fatal mistake. Another vibration pulsed through the ground. Closer. Elias turned slowly, scanning the ridgeline, and saw it. At first, it looked like a distortion in the air, a ripple where nothing should be. Then it stepped forward, an illusion broke. One of the hunters. It unfolded into view with unnatural grace, its elongated limbs placing it silently atop a jagged rock. Its body was sleek and dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it, broken only by faint, pulsing lines of bioluminescence that trace along its torso and down its limbs. Its head tilted slightly, not animal, observant. Behind Elias, another shape emerged, then another, then a fourth. They didn't rush him. They didn't snarl or lunge. They simply revealed themselves. Okay, Elias whispered, forcing his breathing to stay even. 4 of you. That's fair. Totally fair. The largest of them stepped forward. It moved with deliberate precision, each step placed as if calculated in advance. Its bioluminescent patterns were brighter than the others, complex, shifting slowly, like thoughts made visible. Leader, Elias realized immediately. The others held position, not random. Hierarchy. Elias slowly raised his hands, palms outward. Hi, he said quietly. I'm not a threat. The leader circled him, not too close, just outside immediate reach, studying angles, testing reactions. Elias forced himself not to turn with it. Predators noticed that, reacted to it. Instead, he kept his gaze forward, tracking it only with peripheral vision. Yeah, he murmured, you're figuring me out. The creature paused behind him. Elias felt it there, close enough that he could hear the faint clicking of its body shifting, the subtle hum of whatever biological systems powered it. It leaned in slightly. He could feel the air move. Then, a soft, sharp click. Elias froze. Another click answered from one of the others. Then a third. A pattern. Communication. They're talking. Elias breathed. Not instinct. Not random noise. Language. The leader moved back into his field of vision, stepping directly in front of him now, its glowing slits, eyes maybe locked onto his face. Elias swallowed. Okay, he said softly. New plan. Slowly, very slowly, he lowered one hand toward his side. The creatures tensed. Not aggressive, but alert. Easy, Elias said. Just reaching. He stopped halfway, letting them see the motion clearly. Then, inch by inch, he pulled a ration pack from his belt. The smallest of the hunters shifted forward slightly. Curious. Good. Elias crouched carefully, keeping his movements smooth and predictable. He placed a ration pack on the ground between them. Then he backed up a single step. Food, he said, gesturing lightly. Not me. This. Silence. The leader didn't move immediately. It watched him, then the ration, then him again, weighing, testing. Finally, it stepped forward. Each movement was slow, deliberate, giving Elias time to react if he chose to. He didn't. The creature lowered its head toward the ration pack, pausing just above it. Its bioluminescent lines flickered slightly. Faster now. Processing. It extended a limb, long, precise, and nudged the pack. The material crinkled. The sound seemed to echo in the stillness. One of the other hunters made a soft, questioning click. The leader responded with a deeper, more complex sequence. Elias didn't understand it, but he felt the meaning behind it. Wait. The leader nudged a ration again, then, unexpectedly, pushed it away from itself, toward the smaller hunter. Elias blinked. You're giving it to them? The smaller one approached cautiously, glancing between Elias and the leader. When it reached the ration, it paused, waiting. The leader gave a short, sharp click. Permission. The smaller hunter took the food. Elias let out a quiet breath. That's not how apex predators are supposed to work, he murmured. No immediate consumption frenzy. No competition. Structure. Restraint. Social order. The leader turned his attention back to Elias. Another click. Short. Directed. Elias hesitated. Then, experimentally, he tapped his chest. Elias, he said. The creature didn't react at first. Then its bioluminescent pattern shifted, subtle but distinct. A response? Elias tilted his head slightly. Was that acknowledgement? The leader stepped closer, closer than before. Elias held his ground. Every instinct screamed at him to move, to create distance, but he stayed still. If this was a test, he needed to pass it. The creature leaned in again, studying his face, his posture, the rise and fall of his breathing. Then it made a sound, not the sharp clicks from before. Something softer, layered. Elias blinked. Okay, I'm definitely not pronouncing that, he said under his breath. He straightened slightly, thinking. All right, he said after a moment. I'm going to call you Reth. The name felt right. Simple, sharp. The creature didn't react negatively. No aggression, no rejection. It simply watched him. Elias smiled faintly. I'm taking that as approval. Behind Reth, the others relaxed just slightly. Not fully, but enough. Elias looked around at them. Really looked this time. They weren't just predators. They were coordinated, communicative, aware, and for reasons he didn't yet understand. They hadn't killed him. Okay, Elias said quietly, lowering his hand a fraction. So, what happens now? Reth tilted its head. Then, slowly, it turned away, not leaving, just shifting position, making space. An opening. Elias hesitated. Then, cautiously, he took a single step forward. The pack didn't attack, didn't retreat. They adjusted, including him in their formation. Elias let out a slow breath. Right, he whispered. I think I just passed step one. Far above, unseen by any of them, a surveillance drone adjusted its angle, capturing every second. And for the first time since the trial began, Elias wasn't being hunted. He was being accepted. Night on Keter Prime didn't fall. It arrived. One moment the sky churned in dim, distorted color. The next, it collapsed into a deep, lightless void, as if someone had extinguished the universe above. The glowing veins in the ground intensified in response, casting long, shifting shadows across the basin. Elias sat very still, not because he was afraid to move, but because he didn't want to break whatever fragile understanding he had formed. The hunters, the pack, he corrected himself, had settled into a loose formation around a cluster of jagged, bioluminescent rocks. Their bodies blended almost seamlessly into darkness, their glowing patterns dim now, pulsing slowly like quiet breathing, resting, but not asleep, never fully. Elias leaned back slightly against one of the warm stone outcroppings, pulling the thermal wrap loosely around his shoulders. The air had turned colder, the earlier metallic heat replaced by a sharp, dry chill. Day one, he murmured quietly. Didn't die. A pause. I think that counts as success. A faint clicking sound came from his left. Elias turned his head slowly. The smallest hunter, the one that had taken a ration, stood a short distance away, watching him. Its posture was different now, less tense, curious. Elias tilted his head slightly. "Hey," he said softly. The creature made a short, tentative click. Elias hesitated, then mimicked it. Not perfectly, but close enough. The hunter froze. Its bioluminescent lines flickered sharply. Then it stepped closer. Another click, different this time. Elias tried again, adjusting the pitch slightly. The creature responded immediately. A pattern began to form. Elias leaned forward, interest overtaking fear. "Wait," he whispered. "You're correcting me." Another click, short, almost sharp. Elias blinked. "Okay, yeah, that definitely sounded like no." He tried again. The hunter tilted its head, then gave a softer, longer sequence. Elias repeated it, slower. This time, the creature didn't correct him. Its glow shifted, subtle but steady. Approval? Elias smiled faintly. "All right," he said quietly. "We're getting somewhere." Time became difficult to measure. Without a sun, without stars, without anything familiar, Elias could only track it by the rhythm of the pack, their movements, their periods of stillness, the subtle shifts in their behavior. He began to notice patterns. The larger hunters positioned themselves along elevated ridges, maintaining vantage points even while resting. The smaller ones stayed closer to the center, protected, but also observant. And Reth never fully settled. The pack leader moved periodically, silently checking positions, adjusting spacing, ensuring cohesion. Not restless, responsible. Leadership, Elias realized, wasn't dominance. It was coordination. He watched Reth for a long moment. "You're not just hunting," Elias said under his breath. "You're managing." Reth paused, turned slightly. Those glowing slits fixed on him again. Elias raised a hand slightly, gesturing in a slow, non-threatening motion. "You," he said, then tapped his own chest. "Me." Then he gestured outward, toward the rest of the pack. All together. Reth's glow shifted. Faster now, more complex. A series of clicks followed. Not random. Structured. Elias frowned slightly, concentrating. "Together," he repeated. He tapped the ground between them. "Pack." Silence. Then, Reth emitted a low, layered sequence of sounds. The others responded. Not loudly, not chaotically. In unison. Elias felt it more than heard it. A resonance that vibrated through the ground, through his chest. Recognition. Not just of the sound, of the idea. Elias let out a slow breath. "Yeah," he whispered. "That's definitely language." The next phase came without warning. One moment, the pack was still. The next, they moved. Instantly. All of them. Elias tensed, instinctively reaching for his blade, but stopped when he saw the direction of their focus. Not him. Beyond him. A distant movement between the rocks. Reth emitted a sharp, precise click. The pack spread out. Not chaotically. Perfectly spaced. Angles covered. Paths anticipated. Elias watched, stunned. "You're hunting," he murmured. Reth glanced at him, then, unexpectedly, gave a short, deliberate sound. Elias blinked. Was that an invitation? Another sound. Sharper, urgent. Elias hesitated. "This is either a very good idea," he said, standing slowly, "or the worst decision I've ever made." He followed. The terrain shifted as they moved, descending into a narrower section of the basin where the rock formations grew denser, more labyrinthine. The glow here was dimmer, shadows deeper. The pack slowed, lowered. Their movements became even more controlled. Each step placed with surgical precision. Elias tried to imitate them. Less noise, shorter steps, controlled breathing. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. Ahead, something moved, smaller than hunters, quadrupedal. Its body shimmered faintly, almost blending into the environment. "Prey," Reth signaled. Two hunters flanked left. One circled wide to the right. Elias found himself directly behind Reth. "Okay," he whispered. "I see it. Surround, isolate, close in." Reth glanced back at him briefly, then moved. Everything happened in seconds. The flanking hunters cut off escape routes. The prey darted. Fast, but not fast enough. Reth surged forward, and Elias reacted on instinct. Left, he whispered sharply, pointing. The prey shifted direction, exactly where Elias predicted. One of the hunters intercepted. Clean, efficient, over. Silence returned just as quickly. Elias stood there, breathing hard. That was incredible. Reth turned toward him. The rest of the pack gathered. No chaos. No fighting over the kill. Order. The prey was placed at the center. The smallest hunter approached first. Elias blinked. You feed the younger ones first, he said slowly. Reth made a low sound. Confirmation. Elias shook his head slightly, a faint laugh escaping him. You're not just hunters, he said. You're a society. Reth stepped closer, close enough that Elias could see the subtle variations in its glowing patterns. Intricate, almost like shifting symbols. Elias crouched slowly, careful, respectful. He placed his hand lightly against his chest. Elias, he said again. Then he gestured toward the pack. Friends. The word felt strange here. Out of place. But right. Reth studied him. Then emitted a soft, layered sequence of clicks. Longer than before, more complex. The other hunters echoed it. Elias didn't understand the meaning. Not fully, but he felt it. Acceptance. Not temporary. Not conditional. Real. Elias smiled, exhaustion finally catching up to him. Yeah, he murmured, sitting back slightly. I think I'm part of the pack now. Above them, unseen, the surveillance drone hovered silently, its system struggling to categorize what it was witnessing. Because this wasn't survival. This wasn't adaptation. This was something else entirely. The human cadet hadn't just endured the trial. He had changed it. The sound came at dawn, or what passed for dawn on Keter Prime. A deep, mechanical roar tore through the stillness, shattering the quiet rhythm of the pack. The sky above flickered as the dropship descended, its engines distorting the already unstable atmosphere into violent ripples of color. Elias opened his eyes slowly. For a moment, he didn't move. He had been resting against one of the warm stone formations, the faint glow beneath him pulsing steadily. Around him, the pack was already awake, alert, silent, their bodies angled toward the sky. Reth stood at the highest point of the ridge, unmoving, watching. They're back, Elias said quietly. No response, at least not in words. But the pack shifted, not into attack formation, into readiness, protective. Elias pushed himself to his feet, the thermal wrap slipping from his shoulders. His muscles ached. His uniform was torn, and he was fairly certain he hadn't slept more than a few fragmented hours. But none of that mattered now. This is the part where everything goes wrong, he muttered. The dropship landed with a thunderous impact, sending dust and loose fragments of rock skittering across the basin. The ramp lowered slowly, deliberately, like a stage being set. Figures emerged through the haze. Instructor HFY Era at the front. Behind him, a squad of armed personnel in reinforced exo-armor, weapons already raised. Elias's jaw tightened. Yeah, he said under his breath. Definitely going wrong. The pack reacted instantly, not aggressively, but decisively. They moved fast, positioning themselves between Elias and the incoming soldiers. A barrier. Elias's chest tightened. No, he said sharply, stepping forward. Don't. Reth didn't move, didn't look back. Every line of its body was focused on the newcomers, weapons powered up with a sharp, rising hum. Cadet Elias Varn. HFY's voice cut through the air, amplified and cold. Step away from the hunters immediately. Elias didn't move. Instead, he stepped closer to Reth. They're not attacking, Elias called back. Stand down. That is not your decision to make. HFY replied. Those organisms are classified as hostile fauna. You will disengage. Elias shook his head, frustration rising. They're not fauna, he said, louder now. They're intelligent. They communicate. They... Cadet! HFY interrupted sharply. You are compromised. That word hit harder than Elias expected. Compromised. As if understanding something new was a failure. As if not Killing them was a flaw. Elias clenched his fists. "No," he said, voice steady. "I'm not." Behind him, the pack shifted slightly, not advancing, but not retreating either. Holding the line, one of the soldiers adjusted their stance, weapon locking more precisely onto Reth. "Sir," the soldier said, tension evident. "We have multiple targets. Recommend preemptive." "Don't you dare." Elias snapped, stepping forward into the line of fire. The soldier hesitated. "Cadet, move." HFY ordered. Elias spread his arms slightly. "If you fire," he said, "you go through me." Silence. The kind that stretched too long. Too fragile. Reth moved. A single step forward. The soldiers reacted instantly. Weapons rising fully now. Energy signatures spiking. Elias didn't turn. Didn't step aside. "Reth," he said quietly. The name cut through the tension. The pack paused. Reth tilted its head slightly. Elias lowered one hand slowly, palm open toward the ground, a gesture he had used before. Calm. Stillness. No threat. "It's okay," he said softly. "Don't." Reth watched him. The bioluminescent patterns along its body flickered. Faster, more complex. Processing. Deciding. Then a sound. Soft. Layered. Not the sharp tactical clicks of a hunt. Something else. Elias smiled faintly. "They're confused," he said, glancing back at XYR. "You're being loud, aggressive, unpredictable." A few of the soldiers shifted uncomfortably. XYR remained still. "Translate," the instructor said. Elias looked back at Reth. "They don't understand why you're pointing weapons at something that hasn't attacked you," he said. "From their perspective, you're the threat." Another ripple of silence, the kind that forces reconsideration. XYR stepped forward slightly, studying the pack more closely now. "Demonstrate control," the instructor said. Elias frowned. "They're not something I control." "Then demonstrate influence." Elias hesitated, then nodded slightly. "All right," he said quietly. He turned fully toward Reth, ignoring the weapon still trained on him. Slowly, deliberately, he knelt, a vulnerable position. Every instinct screamed against it. But he held it. "Reth," he said, tapping his chest lightly. "Elias." Then he gestured toward the dropship. "Not pack," he added. "Different." He paused, searching for something they both understood. Then he placed his hand flat against the ground. "Stay," he said softly. Not a command. A request. Reth watched him. Longer this time. The pack remained perfectly still, waiting. Then Reth emitted a low, resonant sequence. The others responded, and just like that, they stepped back, not fleeing, not submitting, just creating space. Elias exhaled slowly, relief washing through him. Behind him, the soldiers lowered their weapons just slightly. XYR's gaze sharpened. "Fascinating," the instructor murmured. Elias stood, turning back. "I told you," he said. "They're not what you think." XYR studied him for a long moment. Then the pack. Then the space between them. "You were expected to survive," XYR said finally, "not integrate." Elias gave a small, tired shrug. "You threw me to hunters," he replied. "Turns out they're more than that." Behind him, Reth made a soft sound. Elias glanced back. The pack had begun to withdraw, slowly, deliberately, fading back into the jagged terrain for which they had emerged. No fear, no urgency, just departure. Elias watched them go, something tightening in his chest. "Will you return?" XYR asked. The question caught him off guard. Elias didn't answer immediately. His eyes remained fixed on the last flicker of bioluminescence disappearing into the mist. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I think I will." XYR nodded once. "Debrief will be extensive." "I figured." Elias took a step toward the dropship, then stopped. He turned back one last time. The basin was empty now, silent, but it didn't feel like before. It didn't feel hostile. It felt known. Elias smiled faintly. Then he boarded the ship. High above Keter Prime, the Academy's observation array processed the recorded data. Behavioral logs flagged anomalies. Communication patterns marked as non-random. Social structures identified. A new classification began to form. Not fauna, not targets, something else. Something that, until now, no one had taken the time to understand. And at the center of it all, one human cadet who had been thrown into a trial designed to test survival, and had instead proven something far more dangerous. That even in the most hostile environments, understanding could be stronger than fear.